Hey, thank you very much, Dave. And I'm so honored to be here. How many of you have been in this industry for more than 10 years? Do you remember the organization before Web Association, AIP, Association of Internet Professionals? Anybody still here from that? I remember Jimmy? Yeah. That was the original dot-com boom years. No, there was a number of us here. And a number of them that didn't want to admit they've been around that long as well. I think the difference with the dot-com boom that crashed and what we have today is there was a lot more, I want to say, people that had an idea of an ideal that they were shooting for, something a little more sort of ethereal, something that had a higher goal. It wasn't just about making money. That might be the reason a lot of them crashed and didn't make any money. But when people first started with the internet, there wasn't the models that there are now. And there really wasn't a road to riches at the time. Now, there were also a lot of PowerPoints, if you remember, and a lot of venture capital money that kind of flew in and out. But there was an idealism in that era. And I see Mark back here now. I didn't see you before. Mark was one of the board members of the original AIP. And I don't know that we've done a real good job of maintaining the idealism of what the internet could do and be and how it could change our lives fundamentally. Now, I think we all know when we go to explain to our family what we do for a living, how this industry is transformative, and isn't it getting easier and easier every holiday season? We just went through another one. You're with your families. Isn't it easier every year to explain what you do to your family? Because a couple years ago, it was like your grandmother's going, "What the hell are you talking about?" You know? And now they do kind of understand that. One of the things that when Google first came out, if you recall, their whole mantra was "don't be evil." You remember this? And you remember why they said this? It was because they were looking at some of the other competitors that they had, such as Microsoft specifically, who was trying to do this very terrible thing of bundling, Internet Explorer with their OS, with Windows OS. And it seems like kind of a trivial thing now, but if you recall, there was huge lawsuits, especially in Europe. And the evil part was this leveraging. It was taking advantage of your own customers. And that was what Google, when they first came out, said, we can make money, but we don't have to be evil. We don't have to do that. Well, we're seeing a lot more evil, and it's not just Microsoft these days. You see Google itself with what happened in China, right, where they're self-censoring themselves in order to be accepted by the Chinese government. And they got a lot of flack for that, and they had to back off. You're seeing them also collect Wi-Fi data through those Street View cars when they're driving around, and everyone's saying, what are you doing? Oh, we didn't know. We didn't know we were collecting your Wi-Fi data, which nobody believes. None of us believe that are in the technology industry, right? They don't know what they're going to do with it yet, is what they really mean. The real conflict of interest with Google, of course, is between the search results and their advertising. Because if anyone suspects that those search results, those organic search results that you use Google for, are being influenced by their advertisers, they will lose credibility and you'll stop using Google, right? If you start thinking that the top search results are because somebody paid them to be there, you would immediately stop using Google. So that's the tension between paid search and organic search results. You're seeing another backlash with Facebook recently because of privacy concerns. You're seeing groups like Diaspora start up because people are so frustrated. Hundreds of thousands of people turning off their Facebook accounts. Why? Not necessarily because of any particular policy, but because it was so difficult, because the company wasn't being honest and transparent enough in allowing their users to understand what was being collected and how to control it. And so Facebook had to back off. And I would say that they probably have not recovered from that. The film that just came out recently doesn't portray them in a very good light, for example. Now, whether it hurts their market capitalization or the billions that they're earning, who knows? But there is an issue there. And even things like AT&T. I don't know if those of you are on the iPhone and the iPad and have to use AT&T. The fact that you get so many dropped calls is not part of the deal. That wasn't what we signed up for, you know? Netflix is the same way. How many of you use Netflix? Have you ever had a film that when you try to download it, it starts buffering in the middle of the film? Ever? Like every film? It's like this, if you know, when you sign up for Netflix, don't they do all those great pop-up ads? Don't you love them for that too? You know, every time you open a site, there's another pop-up. And if it said, every film you download, by the way, will have to stop at some random point in the film, not even a commercial break really, to buffer, would you sign up for it? You probably wouldn't. So there's a bit of a disconnect between what they're telling consumers and what they're delivering consumers, and people know this, consumers know this. A big issue that's coming up right now is net neutrality. I love the name of this group, the Web Association, because we had changed it from the Association of Internet Professionals. But did you guys know that the web is dead? You heard this last year, right? It was a big cover story in Wired. And what does that mean, really? It means that the public internet space is not being used as much as apps are now. You're inside of Facebook 2 hours a day, which, by the way, is on the internet. I hate to tell people, but you're inside an app. Most of the time when you're on your mobile phone, you're not surfing the internet, but you're inside a lot of these apps that you're buying through the App Store and through Android, et cetera. People may or may not be aware, Microsoft, Google, and Apple add plugins to Firefox without notifying you. How many of you knew that? Without notifying you. And if you did know this, you start to feel uncomfortable about those brands. And it's not good for business. So what do we do about this? And what remedies are there for dealing with these kind of ethical questions? Well, this is nothing new. The internet raises a lot of issues, but it's really nothing new compared to what traditional business has to deal with. Traditional businesses have a code of ethics that talks about their mission, their quality, issues like privacy, how they deal with the environment. You're seeing more and more of these companies now develop mission statements, code of ethics, and publish them and talk about them a little more. Then there's codes of conduct for employees' behaviors, especially relating to things like we're seeing it here with the county government that's being overturned, you know, accepting gifts and bribes. People want to know how that works in the business world as well. And so there are codes of conduct for behavior. And then there's codes of practice, professional ethics. Hopefully, associations like this where we get a chance to get together as an industry and discuss issues like this and raise issues and talk through them, because they're not black and white. There's not one size fits all for any of these issues. I'm just simply raising these issues that you all know already exist, and I'm hoping we have a good discussion about this. I think the Great Recession that we just came through has also changed people fundamentally. I think they're greener now. I think they're more concerned about less consumption and more concerned about what is my life all about? What am I really here for? What am I working for? Being out of a job will make you think about things like that, you know? Why do I need a job so badly? To put my family, you know, my kids through school, to support my family. What are the things that are really important to you? I think the Great Recession has raised this awareness that there's more to life than consumption. People are more interested in recycling, reducing their carbon footprint, buying local. These are all issues that have come about in the past couple of years. At Cool Cleveland, we do have a privacy policy, and I want to just read quickly what we do. That we track all site visits and transactions. We collect the standard stuff. We don't share the specifics with anyone. Any information collected will not leave the confines of Cool Network's hands unless we ask you and get your permission. We respect your right to electronic privacy. And we saw that some of the data on one of the slides here earlier, that is it about a third of the companies that collect the information are sharing it with third parties. All of them are sharing it with their affiliates. It's important that we communicate what this privacy policy is and be transparent about it. Going beyond this, we also need to create a civil atmosphere for doing business and for becoming a civilization. And you're seeing what happened in Arizona recently with this attempted assassination and the murder of a lot of folks. And people are blaming the lack of civil discourse. And I think the internet, and those of us in this industry, need to use this opportunity to look at what kind of environment we are creating online, because we all talk about creating communities. It's a buzzword. I don't know that we're thinking it through all the way. And what kind of communities are we creating? And are we setting the right tone? So for example, since 2002, we've had this statement on our site, not that this is the be-all, end-all, but this is an example that we've been aware of this issue because we wanted to create with Cool Cleveland a place where people could come who really supported the region and wanted to make it better. We said, you're a vital part of this vibrant community and we value your participation here. This is the terms of use for using our site. As we move forward with the effort to have a positive effect on this place we live, please understand that by commenting on this website, you agree to these things. Tell the truth. Do not violate copyright. Write concisely and deliberately. Use only, avoid, I love this, avoid using obvious logical fallacies. How many websites do you read something and you're like, that is totally a lie, that is totally illogical, and yet it goes by. And then it gets picked up by Fox News and repeated, ad infinitum. Acknowledge and correct mistakes promptly, stay on topic. Disagree with opinions respectfully. Link to online references so we know where you got your information from. Disclose conflicts of interest. Do not engage in libel, and identify yourself with your real name and a real email address. And if you don't log in with the real email address, you don't get to post. You can use nicknames until somebody complains, and then we'll ask you to use your real name when you post. So these are the things that we do at Cool Cleveland to try to create a civil space where we can have a good conversation about our community. What can we do? What can the rest of us do? Develop and communicate and uphold a privacy policy. Are you all aware of privacy policies at your company or at the companies who you are developing projects for? Is that one of the checklists that you go through, is to develop a good privacy policy for your clients? Are you looking to choose vendors that are local? Do you look at local vendors first? Minority? Women? People of a younger age? These are all things that we're trying to stimulate in this region because we know it's good for the region, we know it's good for the economy. How many of you are women-run businesses here? Any minority-run businesses here? I'm disappointed because I just have a client who's looking for one, and I'm racking my brain, and we're looking to make that effort, so let me know if you know of some. What I would say is do what's best for your community, not necessarily your company. Your company ends up benefiting in the long run. With Cool Cleveland, I always say we do what's best for Cleveland, not what's best for Cool Cleveland. Anytime we come to a fork in the road and we have to make an ethical decision, we do what's best for Cleveland. And it's always paid benefits for us. That's why we grew from a couple of my friends receiving this email every Wednesday morning to now our list is over 90,000 just in this region. It's from people forwarding on to their friends because they trusted it. And they said, hey, this is something you should pick up on. And every week we have to earn that trust because all it takes is one click and you're off the list forever.